don't. Are we going live now?
Can you see my face, Norm?
Huh?
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. I was trying to find a spot in the house where it wasn't too dark.
All right.
I'll have to turn the light on in a minute.
Yeah.
Every day I pray that my son can make it every day. Every day I pray while watching every move he made. Everything he's worked for has gone down the drain. All his hopes and dreams, they will never be the same. It's time to wake up, fathers, and let the Lord be our guide, and take them by the hand so they can lead the way. Show them how to be God's men, no matter what the world may say. Be a father. All you fathers, a father's word is never done. Oh, don't waste time, whether they're yours or mine, because their lives are on the line. Oh, you fathers, open up your arms and hug them and love them. Oh, you fathers, yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Norman Alston, and I come from you from Kingsway International. Again, we come here with the Father Series. What we're talking about today is we're talking about men standing up in the gap. This is our second session of the Fatherhood series. We just bringing in some brothers who stepped up, and they've been in the gap for children that were not their children biological, and also we're bringing in some mentors to talk about how it is to help other children that weren't their children. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce you I'm gonna let these guys introduce themselves to you. We're gonna start with you, Mr. Greg Palmer.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Greg Palmer. That's my uncle right there, Norman. A little bit about myself, military vet. Got out to the military and became a counselor. I was a counselor in a high school in Sacramento, California. Uh, did a lot of stuff out there, building programs, being part of well, developing their BSU. Right now, just moved out to Washington D.C. and I'm a re-engagement specialist, helping individuals get back into education and trying to find their way to a productive career. Let's say that, right? So that's a little bit about me.
All right. Um, Elder Shannon, go ahead.
Hey, I had to unmute myself.
Ah,
How you doing? Yeah, Elder Shannon here. Let's see here. A little bit about myself. Right now, I'm currently serving at First Baptist Church. Me and my wife running our ministry, One Touch Ministries. I became, I was the youth pastor for over 10 years for Solid Rock Worship Center and Pastor Amir Khan, and I got into doing youth ministry. And then from youth ministry, that birthed and opened up way for me to become a foster parent. So I was a foster parent for 5 years. I had 4 young men in my home that I actually fathered. I was a single father. And then one did ask me to adopt. So I do have my son, Keith Miles, who we adopted. And then recently got married. Actually, our anniversary is Wednesday. 3 years. Yes, absolutely.
congratulations.
And, yes. And so now I'm the father of a daughter. So this is my first time with the girl. This is very different. Excited. And I mean, and we have such a great relationship because, I always said when I have children that I wanted to make sure I have that open line of communication and allow them to be able to talk to me freely. And this is my first time I'm actually, when I say she free as a bird, she be telling me stuff. I'm like, are you supposed to be telling me? Oh, okay, all right, well. And my wife is like, yo, she really loves you and really trusts you. So.
All right. Tone, let's hear a little about you, bro.
Okay, my name is Anthony Hawkins, or Tony for short. I've been in part of Kingdom Life Church for a long time. Dealt with helping men become developed. We have had men's ministries where we help develop men, mentor young men, and help them be, from I would say from age 10 on up to in their 20s. As my daughter was not biologically mine, but I adopted her as my daughter. And as far as I'm concerned, blood of my blood. Everybody even says she looks like you. So when we have relationships like that, it's important to me that we help develop and nurture the children. With me, as Norm says, or anybody says, they say I try to think before I speak in things. But my biggest thing is how do we create relationships? That's the biggest important thing to me is relationships. As Shannon was saying, that relationship he has with his stepdaughter is important. That's the biggest thing to me is how do we create those relationships? We got to, and that's what's important to constantly have that relationship open. One of the brothers the other day said, even when the child is grown, meaning in their 20s, whatever, ready to move on their own, having their kids, you still have to father them. You still have to talk to them and mentor with them. And that's what I believe.
All right. We have Brother Langston on. Russ, we'll just tell them something about ourselves just to get started so everybody can know who everyone is. Can you hear us? You got to take your
Russell, you got to unmute yourself.
Yeah, man.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, my brother.
Good.
Okay. Brother Russell Langston. I got like Shannon, I got an anniversary that's coming up in July 23rd. Well, 17th and the 23rd, and I have three. My wife's children, who I've stepfather. I've been trying to talk to them, try to give them some encouraging words, from a father standpoint. And when they got, I came in when they was 20 years old, and now they're grown, and it's a big mess right now. And it's like I have no control, because when you're not the biological father, it's a different story. And they try to kick you in their back and try to tell you you ain't nobody, this, that, and the other thing. So it's hard. It's real hard. So I've been praying to God and asking for directions, guidance, and try to keep a level head. But it's hard trying to keep a level head.
All right. So that's why we're here. We're here for partly we're here for healing as men, because of the fact that like we said before, everything's not great. Sometimes us as men think that there's no respect out there, but here are some men in some different altercations of life who, because of who they are and because of the things that they're going through, was able to pour into somebody else's life. So maybe that kid might not go down that road that we were down, or we may lose some kids, but I think most kids will be able to snatch on to what we have to give them, and will be a positive in their life. All right. Tone, can you get a little lighter? Oh, there you go. There you go.
What's wrong with being dark? What's wrong with being dark?
I couldn't see you, my brother. I could not see you.
Milo just came in, so I got Milo, go have honey tie your shoe.
All right, you okay? So one of the first questions I want to ask is, as a mentor, do you really think that you're needed? As a stepfather, are you needed? Are we needed in children's lives these days? So randomly, you can tell how you feel, because myself as a mentor, I think these days, especially right now, we're needed, because we don't know the reason why the father was not in the household, nor the father is with the kids and helping them grow. So mentors are definitely needed. So let's start with you, Elder Shannon.
Oh, okay. I try to keep my stuff muted. So you was asking the question. Do you feel like that we're needed, or
Yes.
do you feel like that? Now you're just talking about just in general, or you're just talking about me specifically?
No, in general.
Okay, in general.
No, but in general, where the question goes out to everybody: are you needed? That's what I want to know. Do you feel
Am I needed?
as though you're needed? Yes.
Absolutely, I'm needed. Regardless if I feel like it or not, I absolutely am needed. And the reason why I feel that is because so the Bible says this. The Bible says, don't mean to get all biblical, y'all, but it says we have many instructors, but few fathers. And so, I remember some time ago, Elder Mike, he had told me, he said, while you're, pastoring these young people, you have to look at yourself, consider yourself as being a father figure. Now I'm in my 20s at that time, and I was like, yo, what you mean being a father figure? I don't understand that. I ain't got no kids, and I ain't really trying to have no kids, stuff like that. So, and so then he helped me develop, my mindset of just learning how to be a father figure. And the reason why, it helped me to develop that father figure, or at least that mindset, was because, we living in a fatherless generation. Like somebody said, that, their real fathers aren't there. And so then it's really like, I guess I took on the responsibility myself. to say, okay, I'm gonna step up as a man to be able to help, develop some young men, some young women, so that they can have a positive aspect on life. Do I feel like I'm needed? Absolutely. So yeah, I have more to say, but I'm just gonna leave that at that. Let somebody else answer.
All right.
Could have kept going, man.
Yeah.
We got
No,
time.
I start talking. You don't get no preaching on microphone, man. Don't you know that by now?
Greg, as a mentor, are you needed? And tell your story why you know you're needed.
Well, all I can speak of is as a mentor. I don't have any kids, right?
Right.
I definitely believe that mentors are needed. Sometimes regardless if your father's there or not, I'll speak as if father's there. Sometimes their child might feel like you have to be there for me. I don't really have to listen to you because you're going to tell me what you're going to make me do, or this is what you're going to make me walk down this one path. Mentors are there to illuminate the path for them, to help them decide what's best for them, right? I'm not making you do this. I'm just here to walk with you and be available for you. I've done that with a lot, like countless of my kids. And like you said, sometimes some do walk with you and some don't, but it's all about planting that seed and watering it as you go with every contact that they have. So I'm not going to always guide you by saying this is what you should do, but I'm gonna guide you with actions more than anything, right? And that's strictly, well, not I want to say strictly, but definitely guided strongly towards my males that I mentor. My females, I'm a believer that I can't really teach you who to be because I'm a dude, I'm a male. Like I don't know what it's like to be in your shoes. I can empathize, but my main goal is to show you what love can look like from somebody, right? From another man that actually cares about you. Because if they don't have that father in the house, so that strong connection, that man that's going to be there in love and God, they can develop whatever they think love is supposed to look like, right? And sometimes it is right and sometimes it's not. So my goal for my young ladies is to show them what it looks like to be loved by a man that doesn't want anything from you but the best in your life, So I think we're definitely needed. I know that we're definitely needed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Especially I feel so proud because I don't know if you know that, but Greg is my nephew and he lives in a different state. But I'm just so proud of the man that you become. I mean, we never grew up in the same area, so I didn't have a chance to to help you grow up.
Yeah.
But I mean, where you are, because I followed you all the time. I followed you from North Carolina. I followed you from the service, and to watch the stuff on Facebook that you're doing when you left California. I thought it was going to be a flood because everybody was crying. That felt good because they were crying about my nephew, who was their mentor.
Man, I was crying too.
Even though you were moving on, I thought someone was going to go to North Carolina with you, though.
Oh, some are still talking about. I still keep in contact with a good portion of my students that are out there. Like today, I just posted that, hey, I'm still having counseling sessions with some of my kids that graduated and are on to college, but they still hit me up and ask me questions and ask for guidance. So, like, to me, that's a sign that I did something positive and
Yes.
continue to stay in that same mind frame and those same actions that I did have while I was in contact with them.
That's good.
I appreciate
Russ,
that.
so
yes.
We talking about the good things that we can do as stepfathers. So what are some of the good things that you can do?
Well, like the trade that I'm in, like for the boys, like I taught Deshaun how to work hard, getting him on jobs where that he can make a few dollars. I try to get him, inspire him into working in construction, and then at the time that we do work together, I try to talk to him man to man, stepfather to son, to give him some ideas, some directions of what what is your plan, what is your goal, try to get him into the right direction. But sometimes they take it all in, but once they out of your sight, they go to another place and something else influenced them, and they forget about what you have said or talked to them about, and then it becomes a problem. Now, like Giovanna, that's my little girl. I claim her as my daughter because I took her out on a stepfather and daughter date and taught her how a man is supposed to treat a woman. And I taught her how to, if a man don't open up a door, he's no good for you. If he don't, pull your chair out, he's no good for you. If he has one thing on his mind at that dinner table as a conversation, you get up and you walk out and you call me. And what I told her is this is how it's supposed to be done. And I took her out and we have a nice time. We have a real good bond, me and Javon, just like with my own daughters. I did the same thing with them, with my son. Did the same thing. I went out and taught my son how to treat a woman in a way that, when you out on a date, you make sure you open up that door.
Okay.
You make sure you compliment her. You make sure that your conversation is pure. Make sure that you make her feel comfortable, and then you make sure that, when you conversating with her, make it about her, because then she'll switch it off and ask you questions. But make sure you ask her, things that you would like to know. But it's hard when you got a few boys in the house that only look at you as an individual, not a stepfather nor a father figure. They look at you an individual where, especially at the older age, and they look at you like, man, you ain't nobody. He ain't nothing to me. He's not blood. But if you get them at 10, 9 years old, you have a good chance of bringing them up for them to understand how a man is supposed to treat people, period. And you can teach them the right way. But it's hard right now when you got them when you come in a way where they about 20, 25, 26. It's hard, but they don't respect you then.
Oh, okay. Well, we want to talk to those that's on Facebook. If there's any questions that you have, just hit us up on the chat room. We'll answer your question. The men on the panel, myself, will answer your questions. So just hit us up on the chat box. We're waiting for your questions. Brother Tone.
Yes, sir.
All right. Same question. You thought you was getting away, didn't you?
Hey, I was trying to be under the radar, man. Trying to stay under the radar. Mentors are very important, especially today. As I was saying to you, a couple of guys the other day, there are 12-year-old kids now running around with guns because they don't know what it's like to have a man in the house or somebody to direct them and show them how to do things. They have no respect for themselves, no respect of each other. And mentors are needed to help these kids realize who they are and who they're supposed to be.
Right.
I mean, I think of the young men that I mentored in my past, a couple of young men at church, guys out of church, and I get cards and phone calls on Father's Day, and these aren't even my kids. I get cards and phone calls and texts on Father's Day, Happy Father's Day, because it's important that we have to reach out. As it says, it takes a village to raise a child. We have to be the men to reach out and touch these people, because we don't. We're going to just have nothing but total chaos. These kids don't understand what it's like today. We have to be the ones to stop it. I mean, look at the times we're in right now with the rioting going on and this COVID-19. It's a different time. I never thought I'd experience this in my lifetime. I don't know if anybody else did, but these kids are under a lot of pressure from this. So we have to step in and mentor these kids and help them through it, because we have more emotional strength right now than they do. So we have to help them get through this and guide them through it.
All right. So we know that, again, a lot of us are mentors, a lot of us are stepfathers, but does there ever come a time where you just want to say, listen, I'm just want to, I didn't born you. I'm not your biological father. So I just want to just throw them to the side. Say, that's it. I'm not doing it no more because they put us through so much. So when we say that we're their mentor and we say that they're our children, how deep in your heart does that go? Are you willing to go with them all the way? Or sometimes do you just say enough is enough? Who
I
who
can
who,
speak
who
on
want to
that real
answer
quick.
that one?
I can speak on that real quick for you. There was a time where I was ready to walk away from
Mm,
everything
Mm-hmm.
because of everything
Mm-hmm.
that was going on. I mean, it was so bad. I went to my parents' grave in Philadelphia, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, Mom, Dad, I can't do this anymore. I was like, I just don't want to be in it or whatever. And I was like, I was like, I'm washing my hands of the whole thing, and I'm walking away. And for a few days, I didn't speak to anybody. I didn't say anything. And God said to me, "What are you doing?
mm,
How would you like if I didn't talk to you? How would you like if I didn't bring you through? How would you feel if I didn't mentor you or speak to you? You're abandoning the child that I put in your life. Who are you to abandon the child? Because if I abandoned you, where would you be?" And that's when that resonated in my mind. I need to get myself together and start speaking again and started talking. I had to apologize to everybody and say, look, I got to find another way to make things work. And from there, the relationship had got better. And I believe that it's up to us to, man, I'm telling you, it's hard. That was hard,
It
man.
is. Yeah.
That was hard. Trust me, I wanted to walk away. Trust me, I was like, I had enough. I can't take this anymore. I don't need the drama. I don't need any of this anymore.
Yep.
But God said, this is not why I put you there.
mm.
And you know, Tony, I concur with you saying, because it was many a times that I wanted to walk away, and I really had. And I think I talked to Norm about it on spurts on the time that I was at his house. But it was many times where I just wanted to give up because, you know, a couple of years ago, the oldest, well, it started with the youngest, and he said, "You're not my father."
Mm.
I was like, wow. After I bought this boy his bike, I'm kid you not. After I bought him his bike, he goes to say something like that to me. Then, you know, then the oldest, um, I done sat there, got him a car, got him a job in the union, and, you know, trying to look out for him. But then, you know what my reward was? He got up in my face because I told him, don't spit in the sink. If you're going to spit in the sink, run the water. He got in my face. And Norm knows it takes strength to not to grab somebody, especially when they're not your own, and put them on their behind. I was ready to walk away then. And it was hard because nobody don't know what goes on in this house but me, these boys, and my wife.
All right.
Nobody knows what I go through unless I tell you. I may be happy-go-lucky when I'm in the church because that's the only way I can get some a peace of mind when I'm in church or when I see everybody. But when
Mm.
I come back here, it's like I don't have peace of mind. I got to sit in a place where I have to be uh, broken down, where I don't speak. I'm I'm by myself, and that shouldn't be. But it's gotten to the point where me and her are at each other's throat because of them. And then she jumps on me. You don't say much to them. She don't know that. When they out there and I got them out there, I do talk to them. When she ain't here, I do talk to them. But
And
do they listen? No.
sometimes young men don't listen, but we got to keep on encouraging. Well, listen, I have a question came from the Facebook Live, and they said, fellas, how would you men explain about what is going on through the pandemic and what's going on now in America? How do you feel about it as mentors and fathers?
Well, you can't. Sometimes these kids here, they so used to being out there and whatnot. They don't like being quarantined inside of a home because they like to be out with their friends and stuff
Yeah,
like that. But you try to encourage them, try to tell them, look, you gotta be careful of your surroundings because you don't know who got what. You
Right.
have to be masked up. You have to have sanitize. You got to have all the things that everybody is trying to tell you that you need to have, and you got to be careful. But they don't listen. That's the thing about this thing here. It's so serious that they don't listen, and it's like they need to go out and see their friends and try to have a good time. But next thing you know they got the virus, the coronavirus.
Well, I mean, I believe sometimes we got to put ourselves into their shoes about this because it's never happened before.
Right.
And if we were teenagers, I don't know how we were at.
that's true.
I'm an adult right now, and I get tired of being in the house. I get tired
Absolutely.
of it. It's not. I mean, I'm like, wow, we can't go nowhere because of this. We can't because I myself I believe everything they say about the COVID. I believe. So I have to be careful. When I mask up wherever I go, I mask up. I don't care who I'm talking to. I mask up.
I can say I'm proud of the kids that I've seen out there, regardless of the pandemic. I'm happy to see that they're out there protesting and making sure change happens. There has never been change change has always started with the youth. The youth has always been the brunt of the force that's saying this is what needs to happen. The older we get, the more things that we have to lose. So the more cautious we become, right?
Right.
So it always takes the youth to lead the way and say this is what needs to happen.
That's right.
So I'm extremely proud of what they're doing. If they're out there with their mask and with their gloves, dope. But I know that that's not going to be all of them. But the fact that they saying that okay, I'm going to risk my life for this cause. Every black man knows that if you're going to step up and be at the top and be in the front, you're risking your life to be that leader, right? So this is what they're doing as well. So it's no different. It's to me, in my eyes, it's really no difference in risking your life and saying I'm gonna stand up and be a leader in one facet, and then they say they're gonna do it in a different facet, and I'm gonna look at them differently. I'm proud of them. I love what they're doing. That's just where I come from in my perspective. But I did want to say something about what you said, the question previously about giving up, right? From my little perspective, again, I'm coming from a mentor's perspective, right? It comes down to two things. It comes down to expectations and self-care, right? Anytime you're being a mentor, anytime you're dealing with people's emotions, anytime you're trying to assist someone become better, that's a difficult task, right? You need to be able to have self-care and different avenues of being able to step away from it for a moment so that you can rejuvenate yourself and understand why you're doing what you're doing. Whether that's either just going to the golf course and hitting some balls and just being by yourself, or like you said, going to church, but just having multiple ways of being able to step away and have that time that gives you that energy that fuels that fire, right? And then expectations. We have to remember what we're doing it for, right? Is it for the praise, or is it because just strictly I want to see this? I know this is something that can help you out, and I'm going to put it on your plate for you. If you eat it, dope. But if you don't, it's still there, and you got to always know that it's there, right? We're just constantly watering the seeds that we plant down. It's not going to always bloom when we want it to, but we got to remember that we got to take ourselves out of it, take out the expectations of I did this for you, so this is how you should respond. That's just not how human nature is. People, they take that information, it's going to sit in their head when it's time for them to make that connection. And when they see that connection, they're going to remember, oh, okay, this is what they were talking about. And now I can be thankful that they were in my life and they gave me that information. But that's not going to always happen when you want it to happen. So we got to remember our expectations, to be able to put our expectations on the back burner and just do what we do because that's who we are and what we want to do. not because we're expecting them to react a certain way. So I just wanted to say that about the previous reaction, but about the COVID, I'm proud of my kids.
And I mean, both ways. That's a good answer to both questions, especially
Mm-hmm.
about when we give kids things that we want them to do. We still have to remember that it's their choice. It's just like the old saying, to you could take a horse to water, but don't mean he's going to drink the water. You can lead him there. You can take him there many different ways. But if he don't want to drink, he's not going to drink the water.
Not until he's thirsty.
That's right.
Right. So I wanted to comment on both of those as well. For the first thing, as far as like the pandemic and everything that's happening in the world right now, I myself personally, I'm just sick of it all. Just get everything back to normal, because I'm just sick of it all. That's just myself personally. You know, so I think right before everything broke out with the Black Lives Matter and everything else, I had told my wife, she actually said that I woke up out of my sleep. Oh, I couldn't remember if I was asleep or not, but I remember saying to her, I said, it's about to be summertime and these kids go hit the street, and you're not going to be able to stop them. You're not going to be able to stop, what's about to come, because, a lot of the generation right now, you have to show them the evidence. They want to see, exactly what's going on. And so, we hear about, people dying and everything else, and I would say probably some of them, it did hit home to them, but like I said, you it's almost like, how can I compare? Like I used to tell some of when I was over the youth, I used to tell their parents, because I would mentor some of the young people, and the parents will call me and say, hey, Minister Channing, come get this, da da da. And then I would hear the parents say, I'm gonna ground you all the rest of the year. The rest of the year, you're gonna be grounded. So that's how I kind of feel like, everything that's happening. It's like, y'all grounded until the end of May. Oh no, we go release you. No, you got to wait till June, and now July, and
August.
Right now August, exactly. So it's almost like, you can't tell a kid that you're grounded, then lift it, and then ground them, then lift it. Oh no, you did wrong. So it's on, to me, that's what it looks like to me. It's like, they got a hope in mind of, all right, by the end of the month, I can go back to normal, this and that, da da da. But things have not been back to normal, and there's been almost no restrictions lifted. So I said all that to say is that when things happen with the whole Black Lives Matter and everything else, blah blah blah, people actually hit the streets, and nobody could stop them. The police can't stop them. The government can't stop them. Nobody, because they feel that they're at a right to protest, for the simple fact of, hey, we're tired of seeing the deaths of, hey, the young Black men or Black men in general. So that's where my thought is, my perspective is. Now, going back to the other thing about Mr. Norman's asked about giving up. So I want to say a time that I don't want to say I did give up. I didn't give a kid a chance. So when I was a foster parent, I was going through something with one of my kids, and basically he was 18 years old and everything else, but he decided he wanted to not just smoke weed, because I was like, listen, I was one of those ones like, listen, just tell me what's happening. If you happen to be smoking weed or whatever, don't bring that stuff in my house. Don't bring it here. Come in the house, take your clothes off, go put them in the wash machine, take a shower. I don't want to smell it. Whatever. All right. But this one particular kid decided he wanted to sell. So I said, no, sir, not in this house. And I found evidence around the house. So I said, hey, bro, you got to go. And that's just pretty much it. And so, and I don't want to say that I gave up on him, because, I did find him somewhere else to be, somewhere to stay. So, but what happened behind that is that they called me for another kid. So they called me for another kid. They was like, hey, this one young man, he's from Camden, and we've actually been looking for him. We found him, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I said, sure, bring the young man to the house or whatever. And they was like, just give us a few days. We're going to reconnect him with his family, at least try to. And so a few days went by. I talked to the young man or whatever. And so he was like, hey, you're a pretty cool guy, this and that, blah, blah, blah. They had asked me, hey, did you want to, possibly allow him to stay in your home a little bit longer? Because of his past with, selling marijuana and, the things that had got him into trouble, I felt like I didn't, because I had just came out of that situation. So I didn't want to give him that opportunity. So afterwards, after all that happened, they put him in a different home or what have you. Throughout the years, I've had a few dreams about him. And in those dreams, he had, again, I'm not saying him, but I felt like, man, I didn't give this young man a chance, or I really felt like that I could have helped him out. I don't know what happened to the young man. I don't know if he went down the wrong path or anything like that. But I just said that to encourage the men that's on the line or anybody who's listening, is that, when you get to those times where you feel like that you want to give up on, a young man or young lady who you've been mentoring or whatever the case may be, don't give up on them. Give them a chance. So that's all I want to say.
Right. So as you just said that, I just want to remind the ones who's viewing that you can send your chat at any time. You can send, and we'll go to the chat line and discuss what you want to discuss. And also, don't forget that we're having a fatherhood challenge where you can send a video in to our website. And next week, June 20th, we're going to have another program like that where actually we're going to show the video, and that is hashtag fatherhood serious. All right. So come on, tell how great the fathers are in your life. We want to hear from you. And again, I just thank the men on here for pouring out, because we need this. Young men need this. I even know that the young men that I mentor, I can't even count the number because the number doesn't matter. But I'm still able to connect with them whenever I'm in Camden, or sometimes they call me, and it feels good to know that you had a hand in somebody's life. Um, I have a lot of nephews, and I always want them to see me as a mentor, or feel as though they can come to me and talk to me. So I have to be open, but in that same case, I have to walk right so they want to come and share with me. They want to say, Uncle Norm, yo, I got this problem, knowing that they can come to me and we'll talk it out. Because it's not just mentor to other people's kids, but it's even sometimes you need to be a mentor to your own family. Like one of my greatest, I call him my hero. He's my mentor, but also he's my brother Eddie. I still look at my life. If my brother wasn't there, where would I have been at? I wouldn't have known a lot of things that I know today. Yes, he was my brother from my mom, but also he was a mentor. He made sure that I was okay. So being a mentor is awesome. So Tone, you all right over there?
Yeah, didn't want to interrupt.
Nah, you all right?
I was just sitting here thinking some things you were talking about, some things that Greg, correct?
Yes, sir.
Was talking about, and some of the things I thought about was like, a lot of times as men, we put our expectations on other people. We should not be putting our expectations on them, because we can help them try to become who they're supposed to be, but we can't mold them to a certain our expectation. They have to like, The one thing I started thinking about a lot is how should I say this properly? You have to accept a person where they are.
100%.
Not everybody's going to be where you want them to be right away. You have to accept them where they are and don't have your expectations so high because you're going to get hurt. And don't force your expectations on them. As I learned to mentor people, one young man even talks to me now. I talk to him. He says, "I'm sorry, brother Tony. I know I didn't call you back. I'm sorry. I just didn't have that kind of relationship when I was growing up with another man, and I know, but I'm gonna try to get better. I'm gonna try to get better." I said to him, "Okay, first of all, don't go. I know you're trying your best. You're doing your good. You have succeeded." Because when I met this young man, he was basically in and out of different, like he was with his mom, but they were in different places and everything. But I took this young man, showed him how to get a bank account, took him with me to go like how to build things and do things around my home, took him to do things around other people's houses. This young man went out, got his own bank account, got his own car, got his own apartment. He's now a manager at one of the like Home Depot or Lowe's stores. He's a manager there. And he's on his own, 25 years old, 26 years old on his own, doing it by himself. And he's one of the ones I talked about. And he calls like on Father's Day and everything else. They always talk about, thank you for being there. Thank you for being a mentor to me. And it's more important to me to see them become who they're supposed to be instead of me putting expectations on them. It's more important for me to see them become successful and not be, because one of my friends and me were talking about the other day. I would say out of 20 of us that grew up, just 20 of us. Now that's less than how many there was my block growing up, because I grew up in Philadelphia, North Philly. Out of 20 of us, only 5 of us aren't in jail or dead or struggling on drugs. And I'm 56 years old. And some of them are still doing the same thing. And I kept looking, what was the difference between me and a lot of those other guys? I had my father in my house. But my brother had my father in this house. Other guys had other strong men to mentor them. That's the difference. Because a lot of the other guys who didn't have their fathers there, not only did they not have their fathers there were some fathers that were there, but they were absentee fathers. And you probably understand what I mean by that. Is like you could be a father in a household, but if you're not putting into the child, what's the use of you even being there? And I look at a lot of the guys I grew up with. I can name 4 boys. Matter of fact, it was 4 boys. Out of the 4 boys, 3 are dead and 1 is in jail. And another family, 4 boys again. 1 is in jail, 3 are on drugs, and 1 was in and out of jail. Again, they didn't have that mentor there. They didn't have that person mentoring them. That's what we have to do as men now. We got to step in and mentor these kids. I don't want to see another black kid die because he opened his mouth and said something to a police officer the wrong way.
Right.
Or the police officer interpreted it the wrong way. Because they don't know how to handle a black young kid today. They don't know how to do it. They want to be like us, but they don't know how to handle when we communicate with them. They think we're aggressive. We're a lot of people. I gotta laugh because my friend is a Philadelphia police officer. He said the people over there, 12-year-old kids, feel trapped. They don't expect to see 21 years old in age. Yeah. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Because even him and I said, we grew up in North Philly. Him and I both said we didn't expect to see 30 years old. But the kids today don't expect to see 21 years old. I didn't expect to see 30. They don't expect to see 21. That is crazy how bad it is. Because you got to have somebody there, you feel trapped. So you got to show these kids a way to get out. You got to show them there's got to be something different. You got to give them hope. And that's what being a mentor is. You got to give them hope. Hope to see something that's going to be changing. Hope that my life is going to be better than what it is and what I see now. And that's what we have to give them.
I got one. It says, I was reading something and it said in 1965, there were 60% of black children born into a household without a father. And then in 1970, it went from 67% to 70%. And then when they did it again in 2011, it went from 70% to 72%. What I want to know is, how do we move that needle? How do we get to the other side?
Unfortunately, society and television, everything glamorizes having kids out of wedlock a lot of times. And
It's normalized.
say again?
Normalized too.
Oh, it's normal. Oh, yes, it's normalized. Do they think that you don't have to be in a household to raise a child? In reality, a person needs to be there with that child to feed it, to pour into them continuously. It's hard not to pour into someone. You have to have a connection with them at all times. When you're
I would
mentoring,
disagree with that.
say again?
I would disagree with that.
I'm saying, but when you're mentoring someone, you have to maintain a connection as though you were your child. That's what I was going to my next step.
Okay, got you.
You have to be there, constantly there, being available to them. It's not going to be like like some guys used to say to me, or some of the young guys said, he said, Brother Tony, why are you always calling me? Why are you always reaching out to me? Because I want to know how you're doing. I want to know if there's a problem. I want to know what's going on with you. I want to make sure you're walking in the best path you need to be for you. I'm not putting my expectation on you, but I want to make sure you're okay. That's what's important.
Mm. Good stuff. Shannon, you have
And
anything on
look
that?
at
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I thought you was finished. I'm sorry.
and look at the numbers and how the percentages are increasing. Society is making it acceptable for us to be like that. And I want you can say the Christian values. This country was established on Christian values. It doesn't seem that we're doing that anymore. It seems as though it's do as I want to do, and not as as God said, husband and wife in a household, establishing or relationship in a household. If we don't see that the fathers or the people in the household are there helping raise these people, you're going to see the number go up and up and up, where you have absentee fathers or mentors or whatever kind of figure in the household, and these kids are going to grow up with no guidance. Basically, they're going to be raising themselves. Because who was it the other day? I was talking to someone the other day. There was a young lady, 15 years old, having a kid. Her mother was 14 or so when she had a kid. So babies having babies. There's no guidance. There's no way of changing this. We got to find a way to stop this.
Right. We have to find a way.
Yeah. I honestly can't say how to move the needle. I really don't know. Only thing I can think of is it just take strong men like us, and I know it puts a lot of pressure on us as being men, men of color, men of valor, to actually be able to be brave enough to mentor this younger generation that's coming up. So that's I know that's a deep deep dive.
Mhm.
I mean, Brother Greg, he was saying, about you said you had a mentoring program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it takes programs like what he have, and having people who are really really just have a love and a passion just to make sure that not just the next generation, but now the next generation under them actually have not only a father figure or a spiritual brother or a big brother or whatever you want to call it, to help lead them and guide them into the right direction. So it's something that's really big, and we have to have the patience to be able to do that, and the know-how, and really God, really.
Mhm.
Oh,
Great, Greg.
go ahead. Go ahead. Like Chef, you're right.
No.
It
See,
is.
this is what you tell what's on your heart.
Well, not like, yeah, I am. But I was like, yeah, how do I want to say that? But like what Shannon said, that is deep. It is a deep dive, and it's difficult to answer because there is no one answer,
Right.
right? Um, Ultimately, everyone just like those that do care about where we're going and the direction we're going, you find your avenue and how you want to make an effect, and you take those steps to make that effect. There is no one single way. This is the way we need to do it. Uh, there isn't, because if we knew that answer, we would have already been doing it. Everything that we've been doing has had some effect. So yeah, like continue to do what we have been doing, reaching out, creating mentoring programs, being amazing fathers, being amazing stepfathers. But we got to also understand that it's a system that is encouraging this to happen. And that system has to be fought. And that's kind of like why I said I'm proud of my kids right now and the students and the young people that are out right now fighting, because that's the system that's encouraging what's going on. Why we have so many households that are only have one parent in it, right? Why are we 11% of the population, but over 70% of the prisons? That sounds like it's intentional, right? We figure out that part, then we can have some more males in the household. Reconstruction age, like there were more black men in the households than ever. And once that got torn apart, then you saw the system making sure that we went down the path that we've gone to reach where we're at right now. So it's a lot of different ways for us to make that impact. But it's just about us finding the individual finding their way that they want to do that, create a change and taking those steps, because there isn't no one way.
That's right. I mean, and that's the same thing I tell when I talk to a lot of youth, and they want to know, well, why dad wasn't there, and sometimes I tell them, listen, because of the system that was made against us, dad couldn't come back. He may have wanted to come back, but because some things that may happen, and the word domestic violence, once that you get that on you, then they want you separated from the household. But what happens is, now that he's no longer in that household, there becomes another household. So now there's two households. So dad may have wanted to be there, but the system made it that he couldn't come back. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases. And Russ, I'm happy for you because of the fact that even though you go through so much with these men, but you haven't given up. And each day you try to find a new way to come closer with them, even though, like you said, they step to your face, and we know as men, when a young man steps to our face, we want to knock him down. But because of who we are and because of where we're trying to take them at, we can't do those things. So I commend you for stepping up, being that stepfather that you are. And I just want to encourage you. They might not hear you right now. They might not. But trust me, they're going to hear your voice when they need to hear it. And you might not be nowhere around. And they're going to say, I remember when Russ told me this.
Yeah, as I was sitting here, I was listening to majority of the guys talking and the question. But only way we can move that needle, it has to start in the household and in church. You got to get these kids in church in order for them to see the different light of everything. Because right now, a lot of these kids are lost. They're not in the church. They out here and, they're hanging out with their friends. But the only way this needle is going to, move is to get them in church. Let God direct their path. Let God work on them. Allow God to do what he needs to do to mold them to come up, because, as we, as stepfathers, we do what we can, because because I was born without a father. My father was never around, nor was he ever within my life. Mm-hmm. But my mother did the best that she could of raising me. I managed to play football, go to college. I managed to box. I managed to do a lot of things without a father. So now I managed to do these things without a father. So that my upbringing, what I've learned, is to give to someone else. Now these boys that I tried to mentor, and that was a part of my life with my wife. I try to mentor that to them, and try to get them to see that this is what I was taught. But it's hard when you got a different attitude, a different mind setting and whatnot. But no, I haven't given up because I believe in that God is going to do something good for this. I believe that. I have faith. Will I give up on them? No, I won't give up on them, but I'll sit up there and talk to them. I talk to them, whatever they need. But, it's hard. It's very hard. It really is. And, sometimes you just want to just pack your bags.
Okay. Another question from the audience. There can be a bad taste in their mouth when it comes to the church. So what do you do then?
A bad taste in their mouth.
About the church. They may have a bad feeling about the church. But as fathers and mentors, what do we tell them?
That's a good question. That's a really good question, because the only thing you can tell them is that, you got to go and experience it yourself. You got to learn what goes on in the church yourself, because by you sitting out here and listening to other people and, you getting this bad feeling or bad taste that this is not where you belong. But you know what? It is where you belong, because it's going to save your life. It's going to save your life no matter what. This is where you belong. Because when you out there, all you doing is accepting temptation or accepting whatever comes your way. And next thing you know, kids are dying left and right with guns and drugs and all kinds of stuff. But when you're in church, and you learning, keep getting taught of what it is that you need to have in your heart, trust me, you'll live a whole lot longer.
Greg?
I'm not a church guy.
No, you don't know. You don't have to be a church guy.
Straight to the point, Greg.
So what do you say? What do you say to him?
I'm fine with that. That's my goal. Isn't to get you into church. My goal is to connect with you and help you figure out life, whatever that may be. If you want to take a spiritual route, then we can go a spiritual route. But if that's not where you're at, then I'm not here to try to make you see that this is the place where you're supposed to be. Because like I said before, there is no one specific way to create a change in somebody. It wasn't for me. So how can I look at somebody and say that's what's supposed to be happening for you, right? So like if that's not what they're looking for, then we find other ways to teach and to learn and to grow and develop. But if that is their path, then I know how to make those connections as well, because I have that in me too, because I was raised in the church, but I just took a different path later on, so I have the ability to go and then have those conversations and maybe make those connections towards the church if they want to go down that route. But to me, that's not the end all be all for me.
Okay. You want to answer on that one?
I can say one thing is like you, Norm, and Greg. I also served in the military too. When I was first out of boot camp and I was down in Florida, one of the young men had me go to church with him down there. I ran out that building. I was like, no, this is not for me. But I was raised like in the Catholic school system, and I was like, it was just, it wasn't for me. That wasn't for me. I mean, I wound up doing all the crazy stuff and doing all the crazy things that most people did when they were in the military, young and dumb. And it was when I got older, before I even got saved, what happened with me was I started changing my life. I had to make a conscious decision. So that's what the first thing is. You have to make a conscious decision before you even try to go to church, that you want to change in your life. You want something to change. Once you make that change, then you can make a conscious decision. Do you want to go to church? Don't run from a church. If this is where you're directed to go, go to church, because that's what happened with me. I made the change in my lifestyle, and then I was directed to go to church. Once I went to church, I didn't have that fear anymore. I mean, I'll put it this way: you can be hurt by anybody, by the church, by your family. You get hurt worse by your family and friends more so than the church a lot of times. You have to think about what are your expectations from um, people or in life itself, the church itself. You look at the church as being part of a family, as well as also being the pastor being who represents to speak to God through him. But you have to also speak to God yourself. The building is not the church, it's the people. That's what you have to realize. People and the relationships are what God established before anything else. Don't look at the building as being the church, look at the people.
Okay. Right. All right. Got another question from one of our. Would you agree that one of the problems is that some young people coming from those backgrounds don't feel they have any value to give? And how do we give them value?
Well,
Pastor,
I
you
think
want to answer that one? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say one way I think that we can add value to their life is really just showing them love, showing them that we care, that somebody cares for them. Most kids, I'm saying most, I'm not saying all, but most kids, the reason why they don't feel like that they're valued is because they don't feel like they're valued at home. Yep. And so, you know, so that's why a lot of times, you know, they run wild. They go rampant because they're not feeling that love at home. And so, and I guess that's one of the hard things about being the mentor is that, you know, we're showing them the love and compassion, but then they go back and say, well, I'm not getting that at home though. That's where I really want it at. And so, and so, it really just takes us being able just to say, hey, listen, I know that, you know, it's rough right now. And I know that, you know, the love at home isn't where you want to be, but hey, listen, bro, sis, you know, I love you. And just know that there's a greater path for you than the path that you're going down right now. You know, we've all, I believe, ventured off into some area of life that we ain't had no business doing. Right. But we have to also be there to be able to say, hey, listen, when you veer off into left field, I'm still going to be right here to still love you and have compassion for you and here to lead you and guide you and direct you into a better way of life. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of at least I feel that, you know, how we can add value to those young people's life.
I would add in to also give them the language. For people who don't see value in themselves. Everyone has something that they're good at. Everyone has some strengths, regardless of whether they're using it as a positive or a negative. But us identifying whatever that strength is as a value and showing them how it can be used positively, or that you just see that in them in general, right? Mm-hmm. That allows them to have the language that they can start having that self-talk in their head. So instead of when they talk to themselves, instead of just always saying I'm this, I'm that, and it's all negative, they can start using those words that you've given them as strengths. I'm a leader. I climb walls good. I have no fear of heights. So that I have some career fields I can possibly go into strictly off of the fact I have no fear of heights. There's every little tiny thing that you can find. You can give them that language. Once they have the language, then they have the ability to start to see it in themselves. That's how we learn anything. Any and everything in life, somebody has to teach it to us first and show it to us so that we are able to see that we have the ability to do it and have that value as a view of ourselves. But if nobody's giving them that language, then you can't, even when you look in the mirror, you're not going to see those things. You're only going to see those negatives that people have always been telling you, right? Mm-hmm. So you give them that language, that positive language, so that they can start talking to themselves in their minds in that positive way, so that it cancels out those negative thoughts that they're having, so that they can start saying, oh, I do have some value. And once they see some value, then they can start adding on to that with okay, now I'm worth something,
Right.
right?
Right.
I'm worth something, then I have a future. And if I have a future, then let me start planning for that future, because now I do have some understanding that I'm going to be here for a while.
Yes. So I'll also add to that is that my first foster kid, we were sitting down, we were just talking one day, shooting the breeze, whatever the case may be. And so, he was because I began to show him different things. Like I took him to DC, I took him to Wisconsin, I traveled with him. And one day we were sitting down, we was talking, and he was like, Shannon, he said, only thing that I've known in my life is basically mental abuse, physical abuse, and I didn't see myself doing anything in life. I had no vision for my life. I had, I really don't know I don't honestly don't know what I want to do after I graduate high school. And I was like, man, that's a shame because, at least when I was growing up in school, or at least growing up as a young man, hey, I want to be the doctor. I want to be the lawyer. I want to be the, whatever. But I saw the turn happen with my godson's generation, and I would talk to those kids because I would coach basketball, and I would talk to some of the kids and say, hey, what is it you want to do in life? What's your dreams? What's your aspirations? What you want to do? I don't know. I don't know. And so it's that generation and the generation that's coming that they don't have a vision for their life. They don't have no aspirations, no goals, no anything. They don't see themselves as the doctor, as the lawyer, as the nurse, or any of that. And so we have to instill that back into the this upcoming generation. And I even talked to some older people who have gone through some things recently, and they have no hope. And so without hope, well, not to get preachy again, but the Bible says, without a vision, my people perish. That actually means they cast off all restraints and they run wild. So this going back to what we're seeing now today, people don't have vision. They don't have no vision for their life. They don't see themselves in the future. They just don't. They live for right now, and that's it. So we have to be able to help them, rather that's what Greg is doing or what we doing in the church. We have to be able to set up vision for those people who don't have no vision. And so with that being said, we have to be able to give them one of the things that I do, and also my wife does, is that when we mentor people, we ask them, hey, write down your vision, write down the things that you want to see accomplished, write down your vision board, write down stuff that that you want to see accomplished in your life. And so that when you look at it, you can actually say, man, I can do this. But a lot of people in the generations to come don't have that. They don't have that I can accomplish something, I can do. Like he was saying, give them the verbiage. Give them the verbiage to be able to say, the Bible says, David encouraged himself. So when they're in those situations where, they're around people who, hurt them, that abuse them, that molest them, that hurt, whatever it may be, they have something to stand on. And a lot of these kids, they don't have anything to stand on.
All right.
I think that the vision, a lot of the vision comes from exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I love my mom for ensuring I was exposed to a lot of different possibilities. But they say that you can't even dream of a face that you've never seen in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't dream of a face that you've never seen before, how can you create a vision of something that you've never seen before either? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't see yourself in that situation because you've never seen it. So we have to expose them to more than what they've been exposed to.
Yes.
Ever, right? Because if they've never seen doctors, or like, just even with that, you only know what you like. Most people that pick careers, they pick careers based off of who's in their community, who's in their circle, right?
Right.
If I got a couple of family members that's mechanics, then most likely I'm gonna be a mechanic. If I got a lot of people in my family that went to the military, most likely I'm gonna go to the military, right?
Right.
Because that's the exposure that they've had. They see the lifestyle that they had, and they're like, okay, I can deal with that lifestyle. That lifestyle is pretty cool. Like I'll sacrifice for that lifestyle. If we're able to expose them to other lifestyles, other experiences, other possibilities, then they can start seeing, oh, I can see myself in that, and now they start creating a vision. But if we're not exposing them to anything, and we're keeping them in the same box, and all they're seeing the same thing every day it's the same thing, it's hard to care. It's hard to look forward. It's hard to look to see that you're going to live past 21 when everyone that you're around is dying before 21, like you were saying about the young men in Philly, right? But if you're able to take them out that environment, show them, okay, this is some possibilities for you as well, then they can start to see, okay, this can be possible for me too. And I can start developing the vision and seeing what's going to be possible for me in the future, and start taking steps to making that happen.
Absolutely.
Assistance
because that's the reason why they go into being drug dealers, because that's all they seen growing up.
It's exposure.
And that's why we got to give them other things. Like you said, we got to show them other things. Because number one, I've never saw myself as being the president of my own company.
Right.
That's who I am now. I am the president of Kingsway International, something that me and my wife thought about. We thought about everything that we did in life, and we put it all together. Now we have our own company. And when we stand on it, we want it to be the best, because there's things that we have to do. There's things that we have to get out. And instead of going through somebody else's company to do it, we created our own company, so that when people think about it, they say, oh yeah, Kingsway. Oh, Kingsway, let me see what they're doing. So things that we do have to be positive. It wasn't always in my mind. I grew up saying, oh, I wanted to be a football player. I wanted to be a baseball player. I wanted to be a police officer. And I accomplished all those things. But I also came up in one of the roughest cities around, Camden, New Jersey. But they were dying young there. But because I played sports, I wasn't into the stuff that my other friends were in. I knew people who played sports and hustled. So they had that world of both things. I didn't want to be part of that world. So all I dreamed about is being being one of the pro athletes. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to hit the baseball. I wanted to be in the pros. But because of who I am now, I know that God had a different plan for my life. And I'm hopefully doing the plan that he had for me as I go through. One of my famous sermons I talk about is God's playbook. So hopefully I'm doing what he has asked me to do. I have another question. Not a question, but can each person share a successful thing that you have done as a stepfather or a mentor?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was successful with my stepdaughter, giving her the right information and showing her a stepfather kind of love, and being supportive of her dreams and whatever that she needed. And that made me feel really good, that plus every birthday and every Father's Day, she always gives me a nice letter of what I've done for her. And that made me feel good that I was successful of making sure that her dream got to be where it's at now.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Somebody else?
In my case, I see now that the daughter, she's now in school to become a nurse, and like to see where she came from and where she's at now, to see that she's got a head on her shoulder and trying to establish herself. It's definitely a remarkable thing to see the success that's going to happen with her in her life. You know, her grades are excellent. She's doing everything she does excellence. As well as I look at one of my nephews, he said that his whole atmosphere, outlook of life has changed also too, from me just being there for him and just talking to him, because he actually calls me Uncle Dad, not Uncle Tony. He calls me Uncle Dad.
Right.
He said, because you're there to talk to me in those situations when I need you to be there. And that's what I try to do, to try to be there to talk to him. You know, he says, because he said by looking at my life and everything else, he see there is hope. There is ability for him to get out and go better. And I said, you can far exceed whatever I've done. You can exceed anything. You just have to put your mind to it. And that's what we have to show these young people, that they can do better than what we have done and accomplish a whole lot more.
All right. Great. I know my nephew has to go somewhere, so I want you to, if there's something that you would like to say before you close out, again, I'm happy that you were able to come in and spend some time with us talking about mentors. You don't know how my heart feels, because when you have somebody that's in your own line that's willing to give up on their stuff like you give up, I see it all over the pages everywhere where they talk about you. And I'm just glad that you're my nephew. So if there's something that you would like to say.
I'm glad you're my uncle. I'm glad you're my uncle, baby. I'm glad you are. Nothing really heavy or nothing. Just thank you for having a place like this where we can talk and just commune and get together and fellowship and talk about what we're doing and how difficult it is sometimes, and uplift each other and encourage each other. Yeah, I appreciate being here, and invite me again.
Oh, sure. Definitely will. Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a good evening.
All right.
You too.
Shannon, Pastor.
Have a good night. Have a good night.
Huh? Oh, success story.
Oh, you said success stories?
Yeah, success story.
I missed the question. My bad. Success stories. I guess only thing that come to mind right now is the kids that most of the kids I think I mentored throughout my life are mostly doing well. I think maybe only 2 of them, maybe 3 of them have kids, because I'll express them. I said, hey, don't wait till you get old like me trying to have no kids, but definitely try to grow up in your life and enjoy your life, get a chance to travel, see things and stuff like that, But I guess my greatest success story is that as being a foster parent, all of them graduated. I had to kick them in their butt.
Well,
make sure they graduated, but
so,
you was gonna say something?
I know you had a lot of steps. How's that stepfather going now? Give me one of those success stories.
Oh Lord. I guess Sierra, she's a good kid. She really doesn't give us no problems or no issues or anything like that, I mean, she actually tells everybody that I'm her dad. Actually, she says, "You sure that you're not my real father? Like, for real?"
That's awesome.
I was like, nah, no. But she doesn't consider me as stepdad. She actually considered me as dad. I'm her biological father. And I thank God that me and her biological father actually have a good relationship. We talk, we laugh, when we're doing the exchange. That's what I call it, the exchange, like she's a product. But when we do the exchange, we laugh, we talk, and my wife was like, yo, how y'all do that? How y'all friends like that? What do you mean? I was like, I don't know, just, we click like that. So,
all right.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it, really.
That's the prize to be called father. No, right. That's not my stepfather. That's my father. That is a prize. That's something that is awesome.
And I never told Sierra to call me that. I never told her to call me dad or stepdad or father or anything like that. I'll never forget the first time she actually did it. We had just got married. I think it was like a week or two married or whatever. And she walked up to me and she said, "Hey, Dad, something, something, something." And I just kind of looked like, she just called me Dad. And I answered her and she ran off. I went back into our bedroom and I told my wife, I said, "Sierra just called me." She said, "I know, I heard her." I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, she called me Dad.
Wow.
And she does things that surprises me. So one day I was heading off to work or whatever. So she made my lunch to go to work or whatever. I didn't know that she had snuck a note in there. She snuck a note in there. And the note read something along the lines of, "I know you're not my real father, but you're the greatest father I ever had." I was like, oh my God.
Oh, you such a... Like that. Oh my goodness. What
I know, it gets mushy. I was like, I don't like mushy, but I'm like,
Don't tell me you bust out crying.
Of course I cried.
Well, I guess one of my, I just found out just like 3 days ago. I've told the story about when I went into the store and I was drinking a Pepsi and not coming to the front. And at the same time, somebody came in to rob the store.
Yikes.
I'm not thinking I'm just drinking my Pepsi. And when I went to the front, they said, "Oh, no, we're not going to rob this place because Coach Norm's in here."
Oh my God, are you serious?
Serious. But I never knew who it was because they left the store. But a couple days ago, I was in the store and the guy that actually did it came up and to me and said, "Coach, did you know that was me that day in the store when we was getting robbed?" And I had to think about it. I was like, "No." He said, "Yeah, Coach, that was me." But he said the reason that we didn't rob it because you were like a father to me.
Wow.
And that touched me because of the fact that this young man didn't rob, and not that I didn't even coach him. I coached his brother. He wasn't even one of the ones that I coached. I coached his brother, and he was like, "Yo, Coach, I always think about how you treated us," and it's funny. I laugh at this. He told me that he's going to law school now.
Go figure.
Okay.
Wow.
He's going to law school now, and that's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing. He said he didn't do it. He said he gave it up right then and there because something hit him and told him this is not what he's supposed to do. And the young man is very bright from what I hear. So I don't know him.
He's going to law school,
huh?
I'm sure he's bright. He going to law school.
Yeah, he's going to law school now. He actually showed me his work. He's ready to go to Rutgers. I'm like, that's awesome. So that's the reason why I believe in what we do by stepping in the gap. I believe that men, we can change a lot of things in this atmosphere just by being who we were called to be. Just by saying no to the world and not putting the kids in the back. By helping the kid, even though they made mistakes, that we're still there and let them understand that, yes, because you made a mistake, it doesn't ground you for life. You know, giving them advice and different things like that. So, number one, stepfathers are needed because you do change lives. Just like you said, she called you dad. That's a wonderful thing to be called dad from a stepchild. And she, even though her father is still there, she considers you a dad. That's awesome. So being a stepfather is important.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what the word in front of it, stepfather, but the word father is important. Because now you get a chance to pour in this child's life. You remember that you're there for a reason. So when you speak Continue to speak with authority. You have obligations to pray over these kids now. As a
Yes.
mentor, it's the same thing. We must remember who we are and why we're in this position. It's not by any means, but God put us where we are for a reason. There's kids that he already knew that was going to come past our path that we had to stop. We don't want to be like those that passed the man on the ground and continue to pass him when he needed help. We as Christian men need to stop and help. We don't know where it's going to land at, but that's who we are, and that's what we're supposed to do. Pastor, you have anything?
It's been great listening to you, brothers. I have to apologize again. I'm in our son's garage as finding a place to a place to
You can bring
operate.
that surfboard that's behind you. Just bring that.
Yeah, bro. I don't try to get on it, but you can see this wetsuit and surfboard there. I'm content to go to the beach and be the flyer on the water, you know. But, the wonderful things that you guys have been sharing, the most powerful things, are where you just kind of wound up with a mindset, with an attitude that being a father is a great thing of value. It's a badge that's earned, that it takes courage. It's difficult, but it is the greatest work on the face of the earth that we will ever do, is being fathers to our children, being fathers to those who are not our children, as we have the courage to overcome our own limitations, to overcome our own trauma, to overcome our own mistakes, and to overcome and allow God to transform us. Then we become instruments through which he can then transform our families, our relatives, our society. And one of the things that I'm excited about is to sit back and to watch you brothers, and to, because there are different aspects of fathering. There's fathering children, young adults, and then there are our partners. There's a fathering of men like yourselves, men who are out there doing the tough work. And I get the opportunity to be in that role as a spiritual father, to encourage, to come on and support. My thought was, hey, Norm's having something. Tony's going to be there. Russell's going to be there. Shannon's going to be there. And these are brothers that, you know, in different aspects are like sons and friends and partners together, that we have to encourage one another in what God is using you to do. And I want to say to you, brothers, keep pressing the envelope, keep going further, keep allowing God to take you further than what you and I think we can go. And I was thinking about this the other day here at my son's, and I was just, something God told me to do several years ago. He says, I want you, because I'm transforming you, I've changed you. I want you to focus on listening to your family, listening to others. Listening is the most powerful value that you can give to people. When you hear them and they feel heard. In fact, the statistics say that people who are going through trauma, when they feel that they are heard, they get healed. So listening and healing trauma go together because we take the time. The other aspect is what we discover today for fathers, it's not quantity of time or quality of time, it is both. Kids think successful fathering equals time, time that we spend with our kids, the time, and whether they're young kids or even adult kids who live far away. When we give them our time, we're giving them mega value. The other thing is this. When we are being fathered by God, we take on his image, we take on his character, and we become generous with our time. We become generous with listening, and we become generous with serving those who are in our sphere of influence. And I want to encourage you to continue serving those that are in your sphere of influence. It may be your family. It may be your school. It may be your work. Wherever it is, continue to serve. And as you serve, it's going to be tough. And it requires a courageous, overcoming, adaptable spirit. And I could say to you today that I'm perceiving that I'm not where I was just a few years ago, but God has taken me beyond that and now is showing me how to serve my wife, how to go through these things in a way that's just powerful. And so just keep serving, keep loving, keep big, transformative way. That's how we make a difference in our society.
Amen.
Right. Amen. Thank you. So, fellas, I thank you again for coming on the Fatherhood series. Today we were talking about men stepping into the gap.
Yes.
This Saturday, June 20th, we'll be talking to other fathers, different fathers that's in a household. So I encourage you to come back on. We're celebrating Father's Day. Sometimes we find as though as men we don't get the respect that we deserve. But I want to tell you that we as fathers are on the front line. And we are that protection for our family. So we are, what's the word, essential because of who we are. We are the ones who set the foundation. And as we set the foundation, we give our children a spiritual walk where that when they see us and they see what we're doing, that they want to jump on and follow us. But sometimes a kid decides that he don't want to do it our way. We can't let him go. We have to go at him. It's like to leave the 99 and go get that one, because that one is important. We don't know who God has given us. We don't know how precious that one is. So we can't let anybody go. We have to stand, we have to fight for the one. So I just want to encourage you fellas that as fathers, as mentors, you are needed. You are wanted. And it's awesome again to be called a father. So I'm talking to you on Facebook. Get those videos in. Remember, hashtag fatherhood serious. Challenge. We're telling how great the men are. And you have a word. So put it on a video and shoot it to us. We want to show how you think of what you think about your father. We want to celebrate it not to just here, but the whole world, because Facebook is everywhere. So when they see you talking about your father, they might have not knew something about him, but because you said it, they know it's good. Don't forget. So it's hashtag. No. Send it to Kingsway International. I'm sorry. Our link. But what's the whole link? Let me give you the whole link before I get off of here. Because to do something like this, you can't do it by yourself. You have people who help you, and I'm glad the ones who helped me, because this is new to me. But because I have great help, I can make it through. Man, this technology stuff gets whoo. But I have my wife right here. So send it to Kingsway. No, send it to hashtag Fatherhood Serious Challenge at Kingsway International. I got it.
.org.
Got it. All right. All right then. So I thank you again for coming on. We've been here a while, but that's okay. All right.
Yes.
You fellas take it easy.
Thank you for sharing.
And I salute you.
Thank you.
All right, Lord.
All right.
Pastor,
All right. Russell, Tony, Shannon, good to see you, man.
Good to
Absolutely.
see you.
See everybody.
All right.
All
All right. Thank y'all.
Thanks a lot, bro.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right, don't forget to share it on your pages.